The first clear memory after the accident isn't the crash itself. It's the ceiling in the hospital room. White tiles, a small crack near one of the fluorescent lights. I remember staring at it while the machines beside the bed made quiet, rhythmic sounds, trying to understand how much time had passed. A nurse noticed my eyes were open and called someone in. Questions followed. Pain came later, spreading through my body in slow waves as sensation returned. What didn't come was family. At first, I assumed they were on the way. My siblings had always been loud about loyalty. At holidays they talked about how, no matter what happened in life, family was the one thing that never disappeared. So the first day I didn't think much about the empty chair near the window. The second day, I asked the nurse if anyone had come while I was asleep. She checked the log. No visitors yet, she said gently. My phone was on the small table beside the bed. When I finally had the strength to pick it up, there were a few messages. Not the kind I expected. One from my older brother. Heard about the accident. Hope you're okay. Hospitals make me anxious. Keep me posted. My sister wrote something similar. Work is crazy right now. I'll try to come by when things settle down. I read the messages slowly, trying to interpret them generously. Everyone had complicated lives. People handled stress differently. Days passed. No one came. Recovery is strange when you're alone with it. The body moves forward whether your mind is ready or not. Physical therapy started while I was still processing the quiet absence around me. Every morning I practiced standing again, one cautious step at a time down the hospital corridor. Every night I returned to the same silent room. The chair by the window stayed empty. After a while, I stopped checking the hallway whenever footsteps passed. Something shifted during those weeks, not anger exactly. More like a quiet recalibration. The version of family I had carried around for years didn't match reality. Once that realization settled in, other things became clearer too. When I was discharged, a former colleague named Daniel picked me up from the hospital. He had heard about the accident through mutual contacts and offered help without making a big show of it. During the drive home he asked what I planned to do next. I didn't have a perfect answer. But I knew I didn't want to rebuild my life around waiting for people who had already stepped away. Recovery took months. Physical therapy, slow progress, setbacks. I spent long hours alone thinking about what mattered and what didn't. Before the accident I had been working on a small business idea, something half-formed that I kept pushing aside because it felt risky. Now risk had a different meaning. Daniel became an early partner. We worked out of a small shared office at first. The company grew slowly, then faster than either of us expected. Years passed in the quiet way that working years do. New hires, long nights. Mistakes that forced us to rethink everything. Investors who asked difficult questions. Eventually the company stopped feeling fragile. One morning I walked into the office and realized we had built something stable, hundreds of employees, international clients. Real influence in our industry. The strange part was how little my siblings knew about any of it. We had exchanged occasional holiday messages over the years, but our conversations stayed shallow. The accident had created a distance that never fully closed. Then one day our company appeared in a national business publication. It was the kind of visibility that spreads quickly. Articles, interviews, panels. Within a week my phone started lighting up with unfamiliar enthusiasm. My brother called first. "Hey," he said, sounding almost cheerful. "I saw the article. I had no idea things had gotten this big." "Yeah," I said. "We should catch up. It's been too long." My sister reached out soon after. Her message was warm, full of phrases about family reconnecting and supporting each other. Eventually we agreed to meet for dinner. When I walked into the restaurant, they greeted me like someone they hadn't seen in years, but suddenly felt very proud of. At first the conversation was easy. Old memories. Light jokes. Then the topic shifted. My brother leaned forward. "So, with everything you've built now, have you thought about bringing family into the business somehow?" He said it casually, but the intention was clear. My sister nodded. Not necessarily working there, she added quickly. But maybe investing, advising, being involved. I listened without interrupting. For a moment I thought about the hospital room again. The white ceiling tiles. The empty chair by the window. I want to explain something, I said quietly. They waited. When the accident happened, I spent weeks in the hospital, then months learning how to walk normally again. Neither of them spoke. I kept expecting someone to show up, I continued. Not to fix anything, just to sit there for a while. My brother looked down at the table. My sister's expression shifted, like she suddenly remembered something she had tried not to think about. That was the moment my life split into two parts, I said. Before and after. Silence settled over the table. I rebuilt everything after that, I said, but it happened in a world where I stopped expecting family to be part of it. My voice stayed calm. I don't hold anger about it anymore, but the life I built since then belongs to that second chapter. My brother finally looked up. So what does that mean? He asked. It means my door isn't open in the way you're asking, not harsh, just clear. The conversation ended shortly after that, no shouting, no dramatic exit. We simply paid the bill and walked out into the quiet evening street. As I headed toward my car, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not triumph, just clarity. The accident had taken many things from me, but it also forced me to build a life that no longer depended on people who only appeared when the outcome was already visible.